Everybody, and welcome to another teacher talk session tonight. And tonight we are going to have our 60th session, which is really great. And also before starting our live sessions, I would like to say to Happy Bayram to all the people in Turkey and all the Muslims all around the world, because tomorrow is is a Eid Mubarak, so that's why. And I don't want to waste time, and I would like to invite our guest tonight. And he is Cambridge University Press Turkey Higher Education Manager, Devrim Özdemir. Most of you know him. And so when he comes, we are going to start our live sessions. Let me invite him and let's get started then. And I have invited him to our live session. Let me invite him one more time. I have already invited him. I don't know. Huh. He says, okay. He sent me a request to join. Yes. Yes, there he is. Hello, Devrim Hocam.
Hello, Volkan. Hello.
It's great to see you.
Likewise. It's a bit dark where I am, but this is the best I can do for now.
No, it's okay. We can see you. It's clear. You are shining.
Great.
It's wonderful. It's great. And hello and welcome to our live sessions, Devrim Hocam. Before starting our sessions, I would like to say thank you to accept my invitation to Teacher Talks. It's a great honor to have you in our live session.
Welcome. You're very welcome, and it's a pleasure to be here.
All right then. So I don't want to waste time. I know we are all busy and doing other stuffs. And if you're ready, we can start.
Yeah, let's begin.
All right then. So I know you very well, and some of our listeners also know you, but maybe some of them, they don't know you. And if it's possible, can you tell us about yourself, please, and also a bit about your experiences too?
Well, my name is Devrim, of course. Who amongst us doesn't really know me? I'm basically a teacher, but I currently work for Cambridge University Press. I'm managing the higher education business, and I have been teaching for over 20 years now, I think, mostly in higher ed at universities. The universities, people in Turkey would know probably Boğaziçi, around the world, maybe Leicester University, China, as you know, Volkan, Yangon Dasha, Yangon University. And I interestingly have experience teaching kids as well. I started teaching in a primary school. That was my first teaching job. So that's in a nutshell me. In the last I think 10 years of my teaching career, I've also been training teachers over 10. So that's just about it.
That's it. All right. Thank you very much. And Devrim Hocam. So my next question is about your own education. Like, what were your some turning points in your own education?
Turning points, all of them actually. All of my education had turning points in it. Some standouts, like me. My Boğaziçi education, interestingly, was a turning point because it was a great disappointment. I felt when I graduated from Boğaziçi and started teaching, I didn't feel prepared well enough to teach. And I that was a turning point. It made me look for something new, and the Delta degree, I think, was one of them. The Delta degree made me realize no teacher education can be separated from teaching practice. Everything needed to be integrated directly with practice. And then my master's degree in Leicester was also quite effective, and I would consider that a turning point in my life and my career, because I got to start teaching at Leicester, which completely changed me as a teacher.
I see. Oh, okay, thank you. And Zehra hocam ask you something. Can you give more information, please? Yeah. She asked you.
About what?
I don't know. I think about your experiences. Something I understood.
My
Here
experience.
is it. Yeah, more information, please.
Zehra, can you clarify what you mean by more information? Is she going to interview me? Is this? I'm more than happy to join an interview.
All right then. Okay.
But I would say there's a lot to say about each of them. But the turning point issue was, as I said, the Delta was one of them because of the practical element of the Delta degree, and also it realized how autonomous. If you're a good autonomous learner, how much more effectively you learn. But if you're not a good autonomous learner, how much you struggle with learning certain things. The Delta was an eye-opener in many ways for me.
I see. Thank you very much, Devrim hocam. And as we know that, the teachers or educators are kind of a philosophy of teaching. So what is your philosophy of teaching?
My philosophy of teaching is that I still don't know how to teach. Every day I realize it changes so rapidly, and every learner is different, and you need to keep learning. And now every day I feel I need to become more of a researcher in my teaching practice, because there's so much to learn about what works in the classroom, what doesn't. So my philosophy is basically, I don't know how to teach, keep learning.
I see. Thank you, Devrim hocam.
Probably most of the questions you're going to ask me, I'm going to say I don't know the answer to, but
It's okay, no problem. That's okay. And Nural hocam says, Devrim, love you, mate.
Likewise, love to Nural as well. A good friend.
All right, great. Yeah, wonderful. Okay, Devrim hocam. And as you know that we had the really hard times because of COVID-19, if you remember that. And we moved from face-to-face to online learning, but now I think we are back to face-to-face education, but I think we both mix, I think we will go after this time. I have no idea, but I just guess about it. So how do you think the reaction should be for effective change for this situation?
Sadly, in Turkey, I don't think people had much time to implement effective change strategies. But if you're asking me first of all, I think people should start learning more about change processes. How can we implement effective change? Because we are making radical decisions. We're going from one extreme to another extreme, and probably we're going to go into a hybrid context. But it's not about going. In Turkey, sadly, I feel, or maybe around the world, it's mostly a swim or sink kind of strategy, where we're thrown into the deep end, and we either swim or we sink. Instead of that, now that we know that the pandemic is here, I think we need to start looking into how can we make this change, this transition, smoothly, effectively. Look at who are all the stakeholders involved, and what can be done to bring them all in together into this process, and to make informed decisions, not top-down decisions without taking stakeholders' issues into consideration. So it is, for me, it's a matter of change management, and I'm afraid I don't see people being trained on change management. I see people being trained on educational technologies. I see people being trained on blended learning, blended teaching, hybrid teaching, but I see very little training and strategies implemented on change, managing change. There are so many factors in managing change. So I would strongly encourage, especially the soft skills required in this process, like emotional factors involved in implementing these new strategies. I would strongly encourage Turkey to look into more change management literacy and practice.
I see. But in this case, do you think is it easy to do this?
Well, it's not easy, but the other option is you do something without considering the change process, and you just fail. So it's not, but it's going to be more effective, in my opinion.
I see. Thank you very much, Devrim Hocam.
So at the moment, Volkan, how many of the schools that implemented their online teaching practice do you believe really went through a thorough investigation and analysis of all of the factors involved in this process, all of the stakeholders, and all of the stages of the implementation of this? And how many of them have really done research this year to find out what worked best, so in the following year they can benefit from those to implement this new teaching environment more effectively? I think many of them have. I haven't seen much research being done in Turkey.
I see.
I haven't seen much research in Turkey about how students, learners, teachers, parents, all stakeholders, administrators have coped with this process. Have they really been able to adapt to this change? What were their biggest challenges? I don't know. You may have some, but I read about stuff like this, and I haven't really seen much in Turkey about this so far.
I see.
So even though it will be difficult, I think it requires quite a bit of research, and as I said, a bit more reading into change management. Maybe you should be inviting a change management specialist on one of your podcasts. That would be...
Why not? I will check about it, and I'll try to invite one of them. Do you know anyone as a name?
I can suggest to you some administrators from our industry, our teaching.
I see.
Who have read a lot about this and are taking into consideration the change management literature as administrators. But sadly, none of them are in Turkey. I can tell you happily.
All right then. And thank you very much, Devrim Hocam. And Nihal Hocam says that very crucial point to consider, Devrim Hocam. She says here about the point that you mentioned here.
Okay, so
it's very crucial.
Which Nihal is this? I hope this is my wife, probably. I hope.
Really? Let me look. It's
my baby is probably listening in the other room.
Nihal Özdemir. Yeah, yeah, you are right. You are right. All right then. Thank you very much. And Devrim Hocam, like my next question is about again experiences. Like, what experiences do you remember that particularly impacted you as a teacher?
Again, Volkan, I would say this is something crucial and again linked to change. And I think Turkey is struggling with this. I went to Boğaziçi University. I did my undergraduate degree at Boğaziçi University. Wow. When I graduated from Boğaziçi University, I jumped into a teaching job at a primary school. Sizin okulları. Maybe we have guests among us from us. And that was one of the greatest incidences where it had an impact on me, because as soon as I walked in the classroom, I realized I'm not ready for this. So everything that happened in the classroom made me think, how am I going to cope with this? How am I going to kids coming up to my knees and snotty noses, teary eyes, and I've been taught all these communicative approaches and all those things, but apparently you're babysitting most of the time.
I can imagine.
Back then, 20 years ago, it was like that. So that was an experience that was an eye-opening experience, going into the classroom and thinking, I'm not skilled up enough for this job. I felt weak, and I worried. I wanted to run out of the classroom and go home.
Yeah, probably most of us had the same situation about it in the first time.
Interestingly, I still sometimes get that feeling. Something happens that makes me think, oh, how am I going to respond to that? How am I going to react to that? What do you do now? so almost every day I have those kinds of experiences, Volkan, in the classroom. And that's what I think makes the teaching job so interesting and exciting, that there's no routine. Every moment something different can happen that can have an impact on the teacher and the learners in the classroom.
The learners in the class, you are right. Thank you very much, Devrim Hocam. And my next question is about vocabulary. I know that you have some research and you have some studies, and if I'm not wrong, you had a kind of a webinar or seminar about vocabulary.
Yeah.
So these questions I really would like to ask, and I hope we can get, I'm sure that we will have an answer, nice answer for this one. How can teachers help their students to make them learn the words indirectly or in other means, like autonomously? So this is really difficult, because when you ask the students, okay, let's work on these words, they easily get bored. So how can we deal with this situation?
First of all, I want to say hello to Mürvet Hocam, who said I have a story in my pocket all the time. That is
nice.
Which is also relevant to my answer that I'm going to give you.
All right.
In all of our teaching career, most trainings I got teach us about how to teach vocabulary, but I think the key is in not learning about how to teach vocabulary, it's about learning a language. I would encourage all teachers to make an effort to learn a language, so that they see how vocabulary is learned from a learner's perspective. And they keep doing this. So you learn one language, and then you should be saying to yourself, okay, now I'm going to learn another language. Why? And that will also give teachers ideas on how to teach vocabulary in the classroom. So this Mürvet Hoca said I have stories, and one of my stories is I was in China.
Wow.
Probably most of you know I lived in China for close to 3 years. And while I was in China, I was trying to learn vocabulary from books, trying to contextualize them and trying to at home practice, like, okay, I'm going to go to the bus station and I'm going to buy a bus ticket. Okay, so what do I need to do this? And I was trying to have dialogues at home and etc. about how to learn, practice vocabulary at the bus station. And one day I motivated myself to go to the bus station and buy a bus ticket. But I took the pocket dictionary with me. So I went into the bus station, and as soon as I went into the bus station, all these Chinese people looked at me and started staring at me. And all of those strategies, all of the vocabulary I had learned before I went to the bus station suddenly disappeared in my head. It kind of, I knew nothing. One thing I realized that we don't teach our students is how to manage with real situations. Okay, we teach real context, but in the real context, we don't get real reactions. In the bus station, all the Chinese guys were staring at me, and I panicked. And I didn't only panic, they came up to me, because they're not used to seeing foreigners. So they came up to me and they started speaking to me in Chinese, as if I were Chinese. I didn't understand anything. All I remember saying is "gong gong chi chi," like bus. I remember saying bus, and they kept pointing at the bus. But what happened next was we got into a conversation that I couldn't have planned. There was no way I could have planned that conversation. They started saying stuff to me irrelevant to the bus station, irrelevant to the bus ticket. And I got into that conversation and I left the bus station learning so many new words, all completely irrelevant to the bus station and buying a bus ticket. I learned so many new things, but I didn't learn how to have a conversation about buying a bus ticket. So what I'm going to say to you is, strategy one is, I know this is very difficult in Turkey, but whatever you can do to bring a real life situation into the classroom, try to do that. Try to bring a real life situation into the classroom. Maybe your own experiences. Maybe you as a language learner trying your Spanish in Spain, you video record it and you bring it into the classroom, and your students see how you struggle with learning, using that vocabulary that you learn, how you cope with that, the problems you face while you're trying to use. One more thing is, teachers in Turkey, I don't know about other parts of the world, China probably the same, England not almost the same, close. We have syllabi.
I see.
And we have pacing each week. I'm going to teach this, I'm going to teach this, I'm going to teach this. Some of that our student isn't really interested in. I would strongly encourage teachers, to give them the opportunity to say, hey, what do you want to learn this week? Not what I want to teach you. What?
I see, exactly.
So I'm teaching you the topic of animals this week, but are you guys interested in animals? What would you like to learn about animals? Can you bring in some words into the classroom? Not me
about
giving
animals.
you bring me some stuff. Give them some autonomy. Let them pick what they want to learn occasionally. And ask them where they would use those words. Why would they use those words? When they are trying to use those words in real life, what problems do they think they may face? What difficulties do they think they may face? If we're talking about very young learners, again, they may surprise you. I remember you asked me about my experiences. One day I had one of the students in primary. His name was Ali. I'll never forget. And Ali, I was struggling with. I taught him for 3 years, but each year was a new experience, a new challenge. And in the second year, his dad came to me. We had one of those parent meetings. He was a lovely guy. And he said to me, Devrim Hocam, you know what? Ali is interesting. He's really interested in snakes. At home, all he does is he draws snake paintings and stuff. He said, do you think this might be useful? I said, I don't know. So the next day, in the classroom, we were talking about routines. Okay, it was talking about routines, and I went to Ali and I said, Ali, can you tell me about the snake's routine? I'm going to give you a few days. I want you to go and look up what a snake's routine is like. What do they do? Do they sleep at the same time as people? Do they have the same stuff? How is their routine different than human beings' routine? I said, can you go and look it up? And that Ali became an entirely new student. He learned so many new things. So in short, giving students choice, giving students space to select and to manage their own learning, and them to have a say in the classroom is crucial. So if you're asking me about vocabulary, I would say those things. One, let them see real life learning experiences, and you are the best resource for that. Two, let them include what they want to learn about in their classroom.
I see.
So those would be two most crucial pieces of advice, I think.
Definitely. And Nilgün says involving students, I mean, like the decision making is a big point. I totally agree about helping them be autonomous. Really good point about it. Did you read it?
Yeah, I saw it. I agree.
Okay. All right.
She basically echoed what we said, and I fully agree.
Okay. Thank you very much, Devrim Hocam, for this nice answer for the question. That's really two great points that you mentioned. My next question is totally related in your area. You know that you work for a publisher, and for the new school here, we all, the schools and the teachers, we have to decide which books we should choose.
Yeah.
And in this case, do you have any advice to teachers regarding material selection and usage, Devrim Hocam? I think this is a nice question for you.
Choose. The answer is very simple. Choose Cambridge. Jokes aside, now this is an interesting question. Yes, it's relevant to my industry, and I see every school we go to, I see checklists. People have checklists, and they say, "Oh, this book is right for us. It suits our checklist. Oh, this book suits our syllabus, our curriculum." I don't know how effective these checklists are. Personally, I don't also know how effective the institution's curriculum is. All I know is, and one more thing I don't know is, sometimes schools say to us, "Devrim Hocam, yeah, all the books are the same. Cambridge, Oxford, they're all the same." They are. Then that is definitely a false assumption over generalization. One thing I would definitely encourage schools to do is think about, why are we using books? What is it that a book can give me that I can't develop here in my institution? What is it that makes a book unique? And it's so unique, it contributes something to my institution that there's no way I can bring into the classroom as X college.
I see.
So in the book selection process, I would strongly encourage them to consider what makes a book unique, and to see if that unique point is something, whether it's something they can bring into the classroom. If they can bring that into the classroom, they don't need that from the publisher.
I see.
I think they should be going for stuff that the publishers can bring that they can't. Like, just to give you an example, you wanted to ask me about comics. What do I think about comics? Now, I think most schools can write comics. So if a book has just comics in it, that can't be the unique selling point for you. Or good illustrations, because it should be too difficult for the school to find good illustrations. But if they bring nice animations that you can't develop as an institution that are relevant to your curriculum, then consider them. Because is it easy for, if you can bring in animations, then don't consider it again. If you have,
yeah.
So find what the publisher can contribute to you that you can't develop as a school. For example,
you're right.
To give an example from Cambridge, Cambridge has the corpus, the Cambridge corpus. And that allows Cambridge to identify the most frequently used words in real context to the schools. We can say to the schools, these words are the most frequently used words when you are complaining about something. Now, this isn't something that a school can easily find. This requires a deal of research. So this is just one example, but I'm sure every publisher has something unique. Bear in mind, what is it that publisher has that you can't provide for your students?
You are right.
That would be my advice, Volkan.
I see. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's a great advice about choosing into the book. That's something that we can't improve. That's something which is unique, only related with the book. That's nice. Thank you very much.
For example, I look at some of those checklists and they say things like, oh, is it integrated skills? Is it communicative? Yeah, but most of them are. And then, of course, they say all the books are the same. Yes, because all books nowadays are communicative, integrated skills, but those are the things that you can also do by yourself. How difficult is it for you to create some integrated skills worksheets? Not so difficult.
You're right.
You need to be looking at something that you can't do, is my advice. I know I'm repeating myself, but sorry.
No. That's of course it's not. It's great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Devrim Hocam. It's a really nice answer about it. And advice also, it's a great advice. All right. So, as you know that in all the teachers' mind, the classroom management has different meaning for every teacher. So, what does classroom management in a language class mean to you?
It means, to me, it means a battle you are bound to lose. If you try to manage students, and your whole motivation is about managing students and having a well-behaved class sitting nicely and listening to you, and that's your agenda, you're going to lose that battle. You may get them sitting down nicely, but you might not get them learning effectively. So if you want to manage anything in the classroom, manage yourself as a teacher.
I see.
Don't try to manage 25 kids who have different in the same way. Manage yourself and your reaction to what's happening in the classroom and create effective learning environments. Don't create robotic learning environments.
I see.
So if you ask me what my understanding of management is in the classroom is it's about me managing my reactions to 25 different people in the classroom, not losing my mind, not shouting, yelling, not doing boring stuff so they sit down, giving my students voice, giving my students opportunities, giving my students freedom and space, allowing some noise, allowing some disappointments, allowing some things going wrong.
I see.
Allowing some students to say, this isn't working. This lesson isn't teaching me.
I see.
Students don't say that. They cry, or if they're kids, they do other stuff. But you as a teacher need to see those as symptoms of something wrong in the classroom, and that something wrong is not the student. It's the lesson, and the teacher needs to manage his or herself and how he reacts to that something wrong in the classroom.
I see. Thank you very much, Devrim Hocam. So my next question is about speaking. So what are the reasons for poor speaking skills among the second language learners?
Welcome. You remember I said some of the questions you asked me I might not know the answer to. I think this is what I'm not sure, because there are so many factors, aren't there, Volkan? There are so many factors involved in this. Why students or can't speak. There may be reasons. And I don't believe this is true for all learners. I believe some Turkish learners are very good at speaking. Some are not. But the first thing I can say is maybe the Turkey University exam.
That's why.
No, I'm not saying that's why. I would say among many factors, I would say one of them may be the Turkey University entrance exam. The other one may be that in Turkey, socioculturally, Turkey isn't as I feel sometimes Turkish people, not all, many, aren't socioculturally very interested in many topics. So if you don't know about many topics and you're not interested, so I have many male Turkish friends, and most of our conversations around football, our work.
I see.
And that's just about it. Whereas I have traveled half of the world. I would like to speak about that, and I have things to say about that, but not all my friends do. So it's not only a matter of they cannot speak. It's a matter of they don't know. They don't have much to speak about.
I see.
There's also the fact that, in my opinion, in Turkey, it's a foreign language. It's not easy for people to go out on the street and speak to some foreigners and practice some speaking.
I see.
So that there's that as an obstacle as well. And of course, there's the curriculum and there's the teachers' teaching practice. And are they creating safe speaking environments for students? Are they allowing students to speak about topics that they want to speak about? Or are they speaking about topics that the teacher wants them to speak about? Like, tell me, what do you see on the table? Hojam, are you an idiot? Why are you asking me this question? It's obvious what's on the table. That's not me speaking. So there's also the teaching practice in the curriculum. So there are many factors, as you can see, starting with political factors like the university entrance exam, the policy, sociocultural factors, the fact that Turkey, I'm afraid, has limited in some ways interest areas. There's also, as I said, the curriculum and etc. So do you remember, Volkan Hocam, I said to publishers, Cambridge recently carried out some research and they asked about 10,000 students, what do you think about your English? So the students gave an answer. And then they said, how did you decide whether your English was good or bad?
Yeah.
And most students said, based on how well I speak. So students are considering speaking as a benchmark for, they're saying, okay, if I can speak, I'm a good speaker. I'm a good language user. But in Turkey, how many of the schools are looking into integrating speaking and oracy skills into their curriculum? How many of the schools in Turkey are looking at what topics should we be getting our students to become knowledgeable about, to speak about? How many of our schools are looking at communicative strategies, developing communicative strategies? Or is it, there are many factors, Volkan. I can't say it's only one thing. I can't say it's only one, I'm afraid. I don't know what people are listening are thinking, but this is my answer, that there are many factors.
No problem. It's great. Thank you very much.
There are many factors, yet some are still learning and becoming good speakers. And I would say that those students are the ones that are interested in topics that people around the world are interested in. They're socioculturally more intellectual people. Their teachers are creating them free and safe speaking environments, and they're giving them opportunities to speak in the classroom, and they're not constantly correcting them. And those students are probably less concerned about the university entrance exam, maybe because they're too intelligent to worry about it, or maybe because they know they're not going to succeed in it. I don't know, but
Burak Hocam says maybe that's why we ask, do you speak English? That's the great point. He says maybe. Thank you very much, Devrim Hocam, for this nice suggestions about it. So my next question is about the homework. Do you think homework assignments are necessary for effective learning? If you think that yes, how much?
I definitely think homework is essential because we are in a foreign language environment. But if homework is only repeating what you do in the classroom, I think we need to question its effectiveness. I would say effective homework is necessary, and how much homework is entirely dependent on each learner. Not all learners need the same homework. I think the homework needs to be differentiated. I think homework needs to be, not every student should be doing the same homework. Not every student needs to be practicing the same thing at home. And also, I think homework shouldn't only be consolidating what happens in the classroom. It should also be complementing somehow what happens in the classroom. I think we should be considering the flip approach. We should be considering what we do outside the classroom.
I see.
So why am I saying homework is essential? Turkey is a foreign language environment. We need to increase the exposure and students' interaction with the foreign language. And I think the best way to do that is to provide some kind of exposure and interaction outside the classroom at home.
I see.
And I think not every student should be doing the same homework at home, or at least they should have space to do something different and appropriate for themselves.
To do it. And in that point, I really totally agree about the different homework should be given to the students. Differentiation is really important in this case, as you mentioned. Like not every student can do the same homework. Yeah, the homework should be really different. I agree about it. Thank you, Devrim Hocam. So my next question is about. I really wonder what are going to say about these questions, because this is really important also for us as teachers. Like, what about the report? So what do you think are the most important ways of building rapport in the classroom?
Those people who know me in the audience would know that I am good at developing rapport. One of the reasons, as Mürvet Hocam said, this is because I like talking about my personal stories. So one way I think we can develop rapport is in the classroom, we talk less about the curriculum and more about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we allow students to talk more about themselves, not only about what is happening in the book.
I see.
For example, do we believe we know our students well enough? Do we believe our students know us well enough?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're talking about houses, have your students ever seen your house? A picture of your house? Have you seen pictures of your students' houses? What part of the house they like the most? What part of the house they like the least?
Mm-hmm.
So the more we get students' selves and ourselves into the classroom,
Mm-hmm.
we are likely to develop rapport, in my opinion. So, for example, almost everybody in the audience probably knows I'm crazy about Beşiktaş. And in all of my lessons,
I'm crazy about.
almost all the students know I'm crazy about Beşiktaş.
Yeah.
So that's me developing rapport, me introducing myself in the classroom. So if they want which books I like reading, what was the last book I read? When was the last time my heart was broken? Why did I cry? What made me so upset? I know those things about my students as well.
I see. Exactly. Knowing about them and let them know about you, I think automatically creates kind of a rapport between the students and us. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Leka Hanover saying no homework, please. I
don't
know if Hanover is in a EFL environment.
I just read that one too also. Doesn't want homework. No homework, please.
Punishment, says Cover World. Of course, I hope they heard my answer about homework. I think homework shouldn't be a punishment to teachers.
You're right. Definitely shouldn't be.
That's another thing I need to say. You asked me about this distance teaching and distance online
teaching. Of course.
Most courses now have learning management systems, and homework is auto-marked. So do you remember I said, what can a publisher provide you? So if a publisher can provide me auto-marked homeworks, then I need to consider what can I provide my students as homework that the publisher isn't doing for me. I need to start thinking about that. But it's good to see that publishers are providing schools with auto-marked learning management system. But is that enough? Is that the maybe that is the homework that is differentiated? Maybe publishers can give that to you. If a publisher can give you differentiated homework, that's not so easy for a teacher to develop, is it?
Definitely.
So we go back to that question that you asked me: what criteria should we consider when?
Sure.
Okay. No, I jumped.
Thank you.
I saw a comment, so I wanted to go back to that.
No, it's great. Thank you very much, Devrim Hocam. So I would like to move to a kind of the university and part of the questions. Like we all know that, and you're managing the higher education business in Cambridge. Like, what improvements do you think need to be made at uni prep programs, or what best practices can you share with us for the teachers?
Now, if I say this, I hope my university colleagues won't be offended with me. I would take just as a suggestion, and almost all of them who know me, I've probably already
Of course.
they already have heard this from K-12 and university prep are different in many ways, but they are also similar, and that is that I think the driving point should be the student needs. What do the student needs? What do the students need? Now, in the university prep programs in Turkey, I see a lot of institutions carrying out research to identify what students need. Yet, interestingly, I still see very few university programs in Turkey developing Egap programs. What do I mean by Egap programs? It's basically university prep programs prepare students mostly language-wise. So here is the language.
I see.
But here is the university prep. Here is the university freshman year. And there is a gap here between.
There's a gap there, that part.
The language learners learn and what's going to happen in their class.
I see.
I think university prep programs need to gap this somehow. And the way to do that is to do more research in their degrees. So university, for example, Boğaziçi University, Ege University, Sinema Tomsoy Kocaeli Zamangas. I think Boğaziçi University, Ege University prep program developers need to go to Ege University degrees. They need to go to the law degree. They need to go to the engineering degree. They need to speak to the students in the engineering degrees. They need to ask them, hey, in your first year, what are your biggest challenges? What skills do you feel you lack? Okay, you passed prep with a great grade. You came into year one. What are you struggling with in year one? What skills is my prep program lacking? Help me develop that gap between what you really need in the classroom and what I'm giving you. So in short, I would encourage all prep programs to have more research done in the degrees, and the students in the degrees, and the teachers in the degrees. What is happening in the degrees? And trying to include them into the prep program. Whatever they feel is missing, and whatever the year one students are struggling with, they need to start including into their prep programs. Not only, I think many of them, no offense, but many of them I feel are a bit like a language school. But it's university prep, preparing students for university, not only teaching them the language, but preparing university. And the way to do that, in my opinion, is by doing research and identifying what's the gap between what's being included in prep and what's really actually needed in year one, especially.
That need to be changed, I think. You mean that they need to change this situation in the prep classes, you mean?
For example, going back to Boğaziçi again, I was a Boğaziçi graduate, I told you, and I was told Boğaziçi is going to be challenging. So they told me, don't take the proficiency exam, fail the proficiency and go to prep school. So you get to spend a year and you have fun and etc. So I went to prep school, and then I went to my degree. And when I went to my degree, you know what I realized? I don't know how to find a book in the library.
I see.
Because I wasn't taught this in prep program. Finding the right book in the library wasn't taught to me in the prep program. And apparently it's a skill that you need in your degree. So, so unless you have a friend who knows how to do that, or there's somebody there who can help you, you spend hours trying to find the right book.
Only that time you find the right book for yourselves.
But I,
Otherwise, you just look at it, I think.
but I wish my program had taught me that.
I see.
How,
That's
how
a good point about it.
something
All right.
like that. Or another thing was one day I I got confused with the dates of an exam,
Whoa.
and I and I and I missed the exam, and I went into the professor's room and I tried to speak to the professor like the professor was my prep teacher, and the professor kicked me out of the professor didn't like that I went into the room and I tried to speak to them like. So apparently I wasn't taught how to speak to a professor in the degree either. I didn't know professors responded to students coming into their offices. Apparently there's something called an office hour.
I see. That's the very interesting moment, I think, for you to over there.
The prep program should have taught me that.
That definitely that they need to put some kind of different the kind of that's maybe life skills, can we say that how you give the reactions in the
This
situations.
that was my problem, but I'm sure if they spoke to other students, they had other problems. But that was, what I'm saying is, nobody in prep called me and said, "Hey, Devrim, you passed the prep with a high grade. How are you doing in your degree? Did we prepare you well enough? Are you struggling? Is there anything that we didn't teach you? Is there anything lacking that we need to consider in our prep program?"
I see.
So that's what I'm trying to say. The prep
I got
program
it.
need to reach out to the freshmen students and identify, are they preparing them well enough for their degrees? What is
For
missing
degree.
in the prep program?
Thank you very much, Devrim Hocam, for these suggestions. Thank you. All right. So you would like to add something more, or do you want me to move to the next question?
I'm happy for you to move to.
All right then, I'll go then. Okay, my next question. I really wonder what are you going to say to these questions, because every guest has really different answer for this question. So here is the question: if you could have one superpower to use in the classroom, what would it be and how would it help? Difficult question, huh?
If I had one superpower in the classroom, I would want to be 100% understanding to my students.
I see.
Fully understanding. No judgment, no judgmental reactions to my students, no overreactions to my students, fully understanding. I would want to have that as a superpower.
That's a nice superpower, to understand them. Really, we need to understand them. That's a great one.
But when I say understand, I don't only mean understand communicatively, understand. Like, I mean understand why they react in that way, what their problem is, how they are responding to my teaching, and
I see.
to appreciate them, because there are 24, 25 different people in the classroom, and we human beings sadly are biased in many ways. We see people and we can't help it.
I see.
Our stereotypical things from in our head appear, and we see people with all of those cultural biases that we were brought up with. I wouldn't want to have any of those. I would want to be completely neutral and fully understanding to all of my learners. So, for example, some of the teachers in primary school say to some of the other teachers, "Hey, we are teaching the same class, and you know what? There's a horrible student in that class.
I see.
He's going to make your life hell." And I would like to have the superpower to walk into that classroom, and I would be fully appreciative of that student who the other teacher said, "Oh, he's going to make your life horrible." I would like to be able to walk in there and completely see that student with appreciative eyes and neutral, no bias. I would like to be able to see him or her like that. Or he does something in the classroom. The next morning I go into the classroom, or something happens in the classroom. I don't want to carry that luggage on me. I want to go into the classroom the next day as if what happened yesterday never happened, and it doesn't have a negative impact on me.
I see.
So I don't want to
I
say,
see.
oh, X student, he can't learn. Every time I ask him a question, he can't give me an answer. I want to be able to walk into the classroom and each day say, he is going to be able to learn today somehow. I would want to be able to be freed of all of those biased thoughts we have in our heads, and to be fully appreciative and fully understanding of each student. That's
Each
superpower.
student. That's a superpower. That's a really useful superpower, I think. Thank you very much, Devrim Hocam, for this nice idea. And yes, it's almost, we are almost going to end of the questions, the only 2 questions left, by the way. And here is the thing.
I wonder if anybody amongst the audience, the people viewing us, if they have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Yeah, of course. And if you have really, I think I forgot to ask, tell them about them. If you have any questions to Devrim Hocam, please write them into the question part, by the way. If you write it into the chat box, maybe we cannot see, because while we are listening to Devrim Hocam or while I'm speaking, if you write anything, sometimes I can miss it. But if you have any question to ask, please write it into the question part so we can easily see, and Devrim Hocam also can see it easily. All right. Here is the next question, Devrim Hocam. What are your favorite 5 websites to suggest to use in teaching? But it's not like should be you can tell us about a kind of a tools about it, not only the website.
You know what, Volkan? I as a teacher really don't develop by looking at websites. So if it's okay with you, instead of talking about websites, can I talk about?
Sure, of course.
Opportunities.
Of course, you can talk.
Okay, so website-wise, instead of websites, I would strongly encourage people to follow Twitter. Some people on Twitter. I personally am very much into evidence-based learning, for example, and I follow people who are advocating this idea, evidence-based teaching.
I see.
So on Twitter, I would encourage them to look up people that they like and the people that they find inspiring. I'm sure many of us already do follow people like Scott Thornberry, etc. I, for example, I do follow people like Scott Thornberry, but not as much as I follow other people, the evidence-based teaching approach.
I see.
I don't know, for example, how many of us are into evidence-based teaching. Second piece of advice is I would encourage people to do degrees. Keep refreshing your degrees. If you've done the Delta, if you haven't done the Delta, do CELTA and then the Delta and then a Master's and then another Master's. I don't know. Do certified quality degrees. That would be my second advice. My third advice would be become an evidence-based teacher. Do research about how learning happens in the classroom.
I see.
I try to do more reading about cognitive psychology. I would say read about stuff that you don't know about in the classroom. So how does learning take place is something I read a lot about. And again, I read mostly this kind of stuff on social media as well. If they're worried about social media being credible, I wouldn't worry so much, because if there's something that doesn't sound credible to you, it shouldn't be too difficult for you to find out, is this gobbledygook or is this based on some kind of evidence? So my third advice would be read about stuff that you hear and you don't know about.
I see.
I know about since learning the cognitive psychology, but I didn't know as much as I do know now at the beginning. My fourth advice would be develop a PNL, a personal network for learning.
I see.
Make friends with people that like Volkan, that are interested in helping you develop as a teacher. Make friends with people. Find opportunities to socialize with. Of course, it's sad in the pandemic we don't have the conferences anymore.
Mm-hmm.
In the
Well, I
past, we
hope we will soon.
thing is, but join online conferences. There are loads of online conferences taking place. So PNLs are important, in my opinion. So that's the fourth advice. And the fifth advice I told you, Volkan, learn a language.
Yeah,
If you think you
that's
know,
also another point. Mm-hmm.
if you think you know a foreign language, you don't know how languages are learned in the pandemic. So you try to learn a language in a pandemic era. See the challenges, the obstacles, the advantages.
I
So
see.
my last, keep learning languages, as many as you can.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, I know I can speak English and I can speak Turkish. Maybe I can learn another language. As you mean, like German, maybe French, maybe Chinese or Japanese or Russian, whatever. Anyway,
I, I think it won't only be a language learning experience for you, Volkan. I think it will be a personal development. Like you will see
yeah.
as a teacher, you asked me so many questions about teaching today. But when you
Mm-hmm.
learning a language, you will see the teaching world from a different perspective. You will see it from a learner's perspective.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Thank you very much, Devrim Hocam, for nice suggestions about this question. So the last question, ready for it? This is the most difficult question, really. It's tonight's most difficult question. Here is the question. What is your motto?
My motto. I'm gonna. This is a social media
Sure.
opportunity. I love the movie Forrest Gump.
That's also really nice.
And,
That's a great movie.
but he says something there which reminds me of teaching. And I'm going to say this here, and I hope people forgive me for my language, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Of course, of course.
Shit happens.
Yeah.
We teachers prepare our lesson plans. We go into the classroom, we think, oh, I've prepared a fantastic lesson. Everything's going to go right. Shit happens.
Shit happens. You're right. Shit happens. Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes it doesn't go perfectly well, and that's what's perfect about it, that it doesn't go as planned. And be prepared for it to not go as planned.
I see.
And accept it and learn from it and move on. Don't cling to those. I know it's very difficult to do this, but try your best to move on in your teaching career, and remember that you are doing a very special job, and every experience is valuable, even though it's. You remember the guy wiping the t-shirt?
Yeah, I know. Like every time.
He tells. So it looked like an unpleasant experience, but it made him. So my advice would be for them to see those unpleasant experiences as an opportunity as well.
I see.
Because in teaching we have many of those, unfortunately. Even though we work very hard and loads of difficulties, we face loads of difficulties. Those challenges actually present opportunities, and we can only benefit from those opportunities if we have a peaceful mind to notice those benefits. Which is very difficult. So keep breathing and remember that.
Thank you very much. I really like the motto for tonight's motto. And Nilgün says realistic, and Funda Hocam says thanks for all the useful suggestions.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much. All right then, that's all for the questions. We have completed our questions, and I think we don't have any questions to ask you, Devrim Hocam. They don't have questions to ask. That's all for tonight. We can say that. And before we ending our live sessions, would you like to add anything else?
I would like to add something. I want to thank you for giving people the opportunity to get to know people like us. I would like people. I'm happy to stay in touch with people. If people want to contact me, I'm always happy to be in touch with them. Thank you to you, Volkan, for
There we
creating
go.
such a learning network. And I know
Thank you.
that the audience is people from all over the world. And some of the people here are my friends, and I'm also happy that you gave me the opportunity to them as well. I wish all your audiences good health and a happy Bayram.
Thank you. That's all. All right then. And thank you very much, Devrim Hocam. And I would like to say one more time, that thank you very much for being my guest tonight and to give this chance to us to listen to you and in this live session, Teacher Talks. And we had a really fantastic night with Devrim Hocam tonight with his suggestions, ideas, and advices to us about our questions. And again, one more time, I want to say happy Bayram to you, as Devrim Hocam says. And we are going to be here next week on the same day at the same time with a different educator. Tonight, as I told you, that Devrim Hocam with us. Thank you very much, Devrim Hocam, being with us tonight. And I hope we will see each other soon, face to face, or with another session maybe in the future. Thank you very much. And also, until next time, take care of yourselves. And good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. That's all from Teacher Talks tonight. And take care of yourselves. And see you. Bye. Until next time. Peace, everybody. Bye-bye.